IN.FORM Coaches webinar. We are so excited that you are all with us today. We've got really a great topic today. We are going to talk all about getting excited and getting some really great ideas to get those January groups filled and up and running. So as always, as we go along, feel free to type in any questions or comments that you might have. We have a wonderful panel of coaches with some great experience that will be here to answer some questions at the end of the webinar. So feel free to type those in. Also, before we jump into things, I just wanted to ask a couple of questions. So go ahead and find your question box that is on your panel there. The first question that I wanted to ask is, what are your plans to get groups running this January? Do you have a date already selected? If so, just let us know. We love to hear about the different groups that are running all over the country, and so feel free to type that in. The other question that I wanted to ask you, and as we go along, just be thinking about this, and if you come up with an idea, feel free to type it in. What kinds of webinars would you love to have? We're looking for some new ideas for the trainings that we do, so feel free to type those into your question box, and we'll definitely take those into consideration. So great, I'm seeing some comments typed in. This is awesome. So continue to type those in as we go. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce today's panel. We have three great coaches with us, all with various experience. So our first person on our panel is Diane Malloy. She is from California, and Diane has run over 6 groups, and she currently has 2 groups running right now. So Diane has been on some of our webinars before, and she has some really great experience. She also actually teaches some of our IN.FORM certifications. Our next person on the panel is Annette Turner. She comes to us from Kentucky. And Annette actually recently was certified, I think in November, and started her very first group in December. She's currently on week 5. Annette's going to tell us about her story, but she actually was an IN.FORM participant before she decided to get certified, and she has a really great story that she'll share with us. And then our third panelist is Monica Edwards. Monica's joining us from Colorado. She has run multiple groups as well. She had 3 going last year, and then she has another one that is starting up in 2 weeks. So welcome to our panel. We're so happy to have all of you.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Great. So what I wanted to start with is just to hear a little bit more about each of your stories. So let's go ahead and let's start with you, Annette. Can you tell us a little bit about your story, how you got involved with IN.FORM? Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, great. Well, it all started in November of 2013. My husband was recruited to be an adult leader for our daughter's venture crew. They were planning a 10-day, 85-mile backpacking trip to Philmont, New Mexico for July of 2015. Mark needed to lose about 50 pounds. Between January and April of 2014, he only lost about 3.5 pounds. He needed some help. Mark invited me to be a part of an IN.FORM class. He felt we needed to do it together in order to be successful. At this time in my life, I was in a very dark pit and struggling with major depression. Wow. I was not living as the wife, mother, or friend that I once used to be. I didn't really want to go to this, but my counselor once told me if ever my husband invited me to do something, I should not reject him, but to join him. So I kind of went begrudgingly. I was very introverted and not engaged during the start of the program. I did not make eye contact with anyone. In fact, I pretty much stared at the table. But 7 weeks into the program, my spark reignited, and I started to warm up and come around. At the end of the 13 weeks, just by eating and hydrating as the core program recommends, without adding exercise to my routine, not only did my body composition change, but my mental and emotional well-being improved dramatically. Now, we both continued coming to classes. We knew that long-term goals could not be reached in a small window of 13 weeks. A year living the IN.FORM lifestyle, with the support of my doctors, I was able to drop 7 prescription medications. I am no longer considered a type 2 diabetic. Because my husband and I experienced amazing body composition changes and our life-transforming success with IN.FORM, Both of us became invested to become certified coaches on November 12th. We were given the challenge to get a group started on the first 30 days. So in spite of the holiday season of feasting and gaining weight, we invited our friends to commit to a journey to lifelong health and wellness, not only as a gift to themselves, but to their families as well. 11 of our friends joined us on December 8th for the journey of IN.FORM with the Turners. Like I said, we are currently at week 5 of this pilot class, and we are also in the process of starting our second class. So thanks to the support and encouragement of our coaches, Rebecca and Kit, and their upline, Jane and LaDonna, along with Scott Terry from home office, I am back, as my friends now say, as the wife, mother, and friend, and now the coworker that God has designed me to be. Mark and I found something we love and are passionate about and that we can do together. We can use our gifts and talents to encourage, inspire, and ignite others on their journey to lifelong wellness and health. And we now also have an opportunity to provide some additional income for our family. So that is why the Turners IN.FORM.
Awesome, Annette. I love that. I've heard your story before, but every time that I hear about that change that you went through, it's really just amazing, the transformation. And thank you so much for sharing your story. Okay.
You're welcome.
Diane, let's hear a little bit about your background with IN.FORM.
Okay. Well, I previously lived up north in the northern part of California in San Jose, and I owned a wellness center up there where I'd for years been helping people with digestion, wellness, weight management. I was specializing in colon hydrotherapy, so did a lot to help people with their weight management. And then I sold my center, and my husband and I moved to Southern California. So here I was, knowing absolutely nobody and trying to figure out how I'm going to start another business. So I began to look for venues and opportunities where I could just share and meet people. I ended up teaching a small group in my church, wellness and health and things that had to do with weight management. And through that experience, began to be asked if I would continue the group in my home because people wanted to continue to learn. And I had already been certified with IN.FORM about 7 months previously. And I got visited by Vic Pinero from our corporate offices, and he asked me my goals and what I was trying to do, and I told him how frustrated I was because I was putting together these lessons weekly in my church, and now I was going to do it at home. And he kind of looked at me with this quizzical expression on his face and said, "Diane, aren't you certified as an IN.FORM coach?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, could you perhaps use that?" And I went, "Oh my gosh, let me take a look through what I have sitting in the corner of my living room," which was the box with this. It was kind of like a treasure chest filled with gold that it was just sitting there and unused. And when I opened it and ran through the coach manual again and looked at everything that I had and the beautiful banners and the scale, and I thought, "Oh my gosh, I can do this, I can do this." So I contacted all of the people that were interested, and from that birthed my first IN.FORM group, which was very successful. Everybody enjoyed. They lost weight, lost years of their metabolic age, and from there I just began to build a little bit more momentum and invited others, and I really just loved what I was doing. I always loved teaching, so I was having more fun than I had had in a really long time and beginning to grow a business from my home, and I didn't have to go establish an office again. So I was pretty excited about it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Diane. I think that's great. And what I love, and we're going to hear from Monica too, is we have a diverse panel with lots of different ways of doing things and opinions, which I think is awesome. Okay, so Monica, let's hear a little bit about your background and your story.
Okay, so my story goes back several years. Until about 7 years ago, I was a pack-a-day smoker, a fast food junkie, a Pepsi drinker. I was very sedentary and about 30, 40 pounds overweight. And I went on my own journey. IN.FORM wasn't around back then. So I did go on my own journey and to learn about health and wellness. And as you know, there's just so much information out there about what you should do and shouldn't do, and people just don't know what to trust. And long story short, out of that, I did lose the weight and I became fit, and now I lead a very healthy and fit lifestyle. And I started teaching other people to do that. I was doing one-on-one sessions and some group sessions. I had developed a program to take into corporations to do wellness programs for them. And I was approached with the IN.FORM, and being stubborn as I wasn't willing at that time to pay more money for something that I was already doing. So I finally, this past year, bit the bullet and took this certification course, and wow, I can't say enough about it. It has changed the way I run my classes. All the work, like Diane said earlier in our conversation, all the work was done for me. I didn't have to plan anymore. I could literally, once you read through the manual, you can go into class and take off with it. The handouts are ready. It was just, and the support that you have. So the stress of, looking forward to those meetings and what I was going to do to create them, et cetera, was overwhelming at times. And then I realized that they had done all the organization for me, and I couldn't speak more highly of the program. I learned some additional things through doing the program myself, and I also use it in my one-on-one sessions that I do with some clients who need more individualized attention.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I love everything that you guys have said, and I'm excited to hear what else you guys have to share on today's webinar. So let's go ahead and jump into our questions that we've got. Okay, so the first one is, how do you market your IN.FORM groups? And let's go ahead and start with Annette. Let's start with you.
Well, pretty much I've just been sharing my story on Facebook, and people interact with us and see the changes, the progressions of changes. And when we got certified, LaDonna posted like this ad you can use on Facebook to field interest for your class, and that's kind of what I used. And it was just like, hey, looking for 20 people in this area. You must undergo this 13-week journey to get back in shape and get your health back on track, and these are the requirements. An age requirement. You had to have a goal to want to lose some weight. You had to be committed to taking pictures before and after, and you could set some time aside to a week to do the transform. And then I said, serious inquiries only, and then only 20 spots available. And that generated quite a bit of interest. And in fact, from that posting and feedback from my friends, I had 5 of my friends sign up for our class from that.
That is awesome. Yeah, and so you shared that on Facebook, right?
Yeah, I shared that on Facebook and in some emails. And if you want, I can send you a copy of that.
Okay, yeah, that would be great.
You can post it if you would like.
Yeah, maybe we can post that out on our Facebook Coaches Forum in case anybody wants to use that same text to get some ideas from. Awesome. Monica, what are some things you've done to get your groups filled, and how you've marketed the program?
So in addition to my regular business cards, I created a business card that I'm now handing out that says start your weight loss journey, and it's got my phone number on it. And I give that to almost everybody I meet, whether they need it or not. And I ask them, could you pass this on to anyone in your life that is having any health issues or needs to change their lifestyle or needs to lose weight? So that's been one effective way. I definitely use Facebook, and I'm looking into doing some online webinars and using some of the ads on Facebook as well. And I didn't so much as share my story on Facebook just because it's been over several years. But what I did do is just, express my excitement about the class coming up, because when I get excited, other people get excited. And that way it's not so much as an advertising. But I also put down posts about, if you're looking to lose weight, or if you're on prescription medications and you want to get healthier and work with your doctor to get off of them, hit me up. I can, let's chat. So Facebook in several different ways, and then I did ultimately, as the class got closer, put up links to the IN.FORM group, so they could go right to my NSP page. The part about being excited about teaching the group, I think, was very, very effective. The other thing I did was the flyers. I did the customized flyer, and I just found another one that I may like better that doesn't have, it's not a customized flyer, but it just has, join the most holistic transformational weight loss journey, that one. And I printed those out, and I'm distributing those on bulletin boards, whether it's at Walmart or at my church or at doctor's offices, at the tanning place. People leave their cards there. Anywhere people leave cards, coffee shops, I put those up as well. So those are my main modes, and I'm a people person. I have gone to networking groups and talked about my IN.FORM class, and that's another way. The one last thing that I have not tried yet, but I'm about to try, is to get those corrugated signs and put them on street corners and in strategic locations that just say weight loss with my phone number and a call to action, call now.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think that's great. You'll have to let us know how that one goes. But I think those are some really great ideas. Yeah, just using like the flyer, like you said, we've got right on the resource DVD that you can customize and print off and take around. So awesome. Diane, do you want to share some ideas of how you market your group?
Sure. I've done some of the Facebook as well, and I definitely talk about IN.FORM everywhere I go. I think there's the advantage if you've actually picked a start date, then pretty much anybody that you meet, you can always be telling them, hey, I've got a group starting on such and such a date. So I've picked up people like my massage therapist, who has now got 2 other of her friends from the massage center that are going to be joining this coming week. And I do a lot of the networking groups in a number of ways. So joining a network group where you become committed and you're really building relationship, this is a relationship activity. People will come to trust you as their coach. And so establishing relationship with people that might need your service can be really a great way to have an opportunity to share the IN.FORM program with them. But I love speaking, so I look for opportunities in other groups as well. I have done speaking engagements in churches, in small groups. I offer my services to speak for homes in perhaps like a mom's group, if you know anybody who's part of MOPS or that type of thing. It's been a great venue also to just sit down with a group of moms and explain to them what we do and talk about the weight loss. And out of there, I've gotten some of my people. The Lions clubs, Rotary clubs, they will allow like a 10, 20-minute talk. So if you know somebody in one of those, if you don't want to become a member, I've done that where I've gone in and I've spoken. I had a friend who's part of a Rotary club and went in and just talked about health, and got a couple of people interested from there. But I would say primarily for me, it's any opportunity to build relationship and to talk about the group with enthusiasm and some excitement. It's just been probably the best thing that I've done is the networking. And again, I moved here 2.5 years ago and knew nobody. So I had to get out and meet people. And if you find the right type of a networking group, they're intentional about working with you and helping you build your business as they're trying to build theirs as well. So that's probably been the most successful thing, along with establishing some email groups and sending out information. Whenever somebody expresses interest or based on a Facebook post, they reply with some kind of interest or comment, I will reach out to them and just see how serious they are. And I've pulled in a number of people just from sending out little bits of information, just little teachings, if you will, almost like little blogs to people on those groups, the Facebook or email groups. And that's
awesome.
Yeah.
Some great ideas, just networking with people and just kind of getting out there. So love it. This is kind of a little bit of a follow-up, but do you guys offer any discounts or incentives to encourage people to join? Or have some sort of urgency for them to join? Does anybody want to chime in on that one?
This is Monica. I do. I give a $50 discount if it's called an early bird special, if they sign up by a certain date. And then I give another discount of, I think it was $30 or $40 if they brought a friend.
Okay, awesome. Does that encourage people to jump in quicker or to bring friends? Is that something that's been beneficial?
I think it was really effective because it can always be scary if you're getting close to your start date and don't have enough people because they wait to the last minute. So that way I've got a feel for how many people I've got.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I do the deadline about a week and a half, 2 weeks before for the early bird special. And then as far as them bringing a buddy, if they were, because a lot of people were going to do it on their own and they wanted the extra savings, so they got another friend to join up.
Okay, awesome.
It may take some out of my fee, but I'm helping one more person, and they have a closer accountability partner that they brought with them, and they're also on product.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that is really beneficial. I mean, you may take a little bit out of your fee, but you're really getting another client and somebody else that you're going to be able to work with. So that's awesome. All right, Annette or Diane, do you have some discounts or incentives that you want to that have worked for you?
I do. This is Diane. I started a silver, gold, platinum level of membership, if you will, and I'm finding that to be successful. I make the price very affordable, enough to cover my costs of running the group, and then I include product with each level. I always include at least the 2 bags of protein powder with the silver level, but the gold also includes Clean Start and Ultratherm, and then with the platinum, they're also getting Super Trio and probiotics. And so what it's done is I've graduated the amounts, so people are, I feel, more successful when they are actually doing the whole program and they incorporate more of the cleanses and supplements. So I get an opportunity to give them 3 different offerings, and so if they are on a really tight budget, they're going to come in at the lower one, and if they are able, they're going to come in at the higher ones. The other thing that I do is I really emphasize to them, if they bring a friend, their sign-up bonuses that they're going to get, I explain all of that to them, so that incentivizes them. And I've also done specials where, you know, if you, like what Monica was just saying, if you sign up before such and such a date, I will offer, sometimes I'll take off $30, $40, or $50. But the levels, at first I wasn't so sure how well that was going to go over. I had the pricing a little bit higher, but when I brought the pricing down a bit, people are really enjoying the 3 options, and they look at that as sort of its own little discount, if you will, that they can join at whichever level they want and choose a budget that works for them.
Awesome. No, I think that's a great idea.
That sounds kind of like the way we're going. Since we have that goal of the 30-day window and we needed our 5 folks and we have no experience, but as participants in doing the program, we offered a really intro price. That's why we're calling this our pilot class. And, you know, when we had our informational meeting, we said, if those of you who sign up tonight, you're going to get your name put in a raffle for a protein bag. So, you know, we did that for the informational meeting, and we had 5 people sign up that night of our informational meeting, and one of those folks got a protein bag. But we had a really rock bottom price, and we're definitely rethinking that since we are, you know, we called that our pilot class, and we wanted to be able to just get the class going and get the experience and get the momentum moving. So, and because of that, you know, we did end up bringing, one friend did bring a friend that I had never met before. So.
Awesome. So I think these are all great ideas, and the thing that I really love is you can really come up with any kind of discount or incentives that you'd like, and you can try lots of different things to see what works. And okay, so we're getting a couple questions in. All right, so people are curious what you've been charging for your groups. Annette, what have you been charging for your group?
Well, for this pilot class, like I said, we did like a rock bottom bare and essential. We just charged them $100 a piece. These are our intimate friends who've seen us and know us well. And they were, like Mark said, the guinea pigs. His goal was just to gain the experience in teaching the material versus participating with the material. And that's just kind of the way he operates. And we realized that this isn't going to be beneficial for us in a business perspective, so that's why we're in the process of developing a new pricing chart. Like I think that was Diane saying, have like 3 different tiers, and slowly suggesting which products we would recommend for that, and trying to make that a win-win situation for everyone. Because we realized that we were committed to the program, and we did put a lot of money down to pay to take the class and to get some products. We didn't get products right away, but we eventually ended up adding more products to our program. So we just want to find the balance to help the market area of our friends and the people in our area that we know to break even. And who can we can't judge what someone can pay, but we, like they said, provide a package and you get whichever one you can get.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Diane, what do you do for your silver, gold, and platinum memberships?
Well, I'm in Southern California where people can afford a little more, and I realize everybody's in different areas, but what I did is I calculated what it costs me to make shakes weekly, and I like to do a lot of prizes. I give prizes weekly to people who share testimonies and are willing to participate and are very active in the conversations. I give contests. I do at least 1 or 2 contests with every 13-week class group. And so I calculated what my costs were, the manual, the protein powder. I give everybody a shaker. And I started with that as a base, and I added just a little bit to make myself feel like, I was getting paid a little bit. I'm a little hesitant because I don't want people to feel like this is a price they have to use, but I will give my pricing. I charge the $220 for silver, $320 for gold, and $420 for platinum. And the product I quoted you, I might have 1 or 2, I don't have my sheet in front of me, there might be 1 or 2 others that I'm including in them, so don't quote me exactly on the product offerings, but I've made sure that there is that $100 difference on the products that are being given with each different price level. And I have had no problem getting people in at those prices. And typically most people are joining at gold. I would say that's the top membership level, and then a few do silver, and I've only had a few at platinum. So people seem to be just fine at that $320 with the gold, which, like I said, does include product, and they're definitely a Smart Start sign-up. So there's, if they've brought a friend who's also doing gold with them, they're getting that bonus. And I really do explain those business aspects to them, which helps them to see that that's worth paying, and they're going to get some back when they bring their friend along and they make their purchase as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does, and it's good to. I'm glad you really emphasized that did include product with it. So
yes,
awesome.
Yes.
Monica, what do you do for your groups?
Well, it looks like I'm the most expensive. So I advertised it at $350, and the early bird was $300, and that was not with product. But I do have to say that if it was somebody that I knew, like I know one person was on disability, I did reduce their rate, and I did do a scan for them, and I also offered payment plans. So, but I didn't have anyone, if someone just flat out said I can't afford it, then I would interview them, and I only had this with one person, and interview them with like a scholarship type of idea, and then see how much they could afford to pay, because I'm more interested in helping people, right? And I don't want them to not be able to participate. And then instead of a full scholarship to the program, just accepting what they could pay. And that was only with one person, though, because I only had one person say I can't afford that.
Okay, great. Thank you all for sharing that. And one thing that I'll just add is what we've noticed, I mean, definitely you can set whatever price that you would like, but one thing that we've noticed is if you set your price lower, I mean, of course you want to cover your expenses, but if you set your price lower, then typically you're able to get more people into your group, and once they're in their group, they do have extra money that they can still get the products that they need that will help them get their results. So just kind of keep that in mind. Don't feel like you have to charge if you don't want to, or if you don't want to charge a high amount. That is completely up to you. That's just kind of what we've seen. But thank you all for sharing that.
Real quick,
Let's go ahead.
can I add one more thing, Shandy?
Yeah,
When I was doing the corporate classes, I based my prices there off of what Weight Watchers was charging to go into a corporation and do the same thing, and they were $25 per person with a minimum of 20 people, and that's per week, 25 per week.
Oh, wow.
That's all. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again for sharing those different ideas there. Let's go ahead and jump to the next question so we can get through the other things that we have. So I want to talk a little bit about using before and afters, or if you have your own story, using that to promote your groups. Annette, do you want to share a little bit there about how your story has helped be able to fill your groups?
Well, 2/3 of our class consists of folks that seen us on a regular basis and have known us for, pretty much the whole time we've lived here in Kentucky. So they've seen the me I was before I was going through that depression. They've seen the me through the depression, and they've seen the me now after the lifestyle of the IN.FORM change and living the IN.FORM lifestyle. And so they have seen it and they've witnessed it. In fact, one friend, this is such a funny story, she's like, Annette, where have you been? I haven't seen you in so long. And she's like, were you recovering from that facelift you just got? And it's just because, hydrating and eating and doing what you're supposed to do, my skin has got this glow, the glow factor's going on, and, they see that, when they see me and when they don't see me on a regular basis. So they know, what I've gone through, and they're like, wow, I want what you got. So that's kind of how we've used, our before and after pictures, and how, people just knowing and seeing us. So that's just, the inner circle of our intimate friends and our, friends from school or friends from church who have seen what's gone on in our lives. My husband is 6 foot. He has gray hair and he has a big belly, or had a big belly. And little kids used to think he was Santa Claus, but he's really slimmed down. He's got, tighter pants. His belly's gone down, and, he looks amazing. And so, they see the change in us, and they're like, wow, let's do what you're doing. We want to be healthy.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. Just by sharing your own story and other people seeing that, it's a good way to get a conversation started with someone, and usually they'll even start it with you. So I love that story about the facelift.
Yeah, I know. I never would, I would not have said that on my own, but, she came up with that. So that was a big, pun with my friends when we had our informational meetings. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that's fun. But hydration, it makes a big difference. Diane or Monica, have you guys used before and afters or things like that to promote your groups? Have you had some success there?
This is Diane. I have used my testimony. I don't have a before and after because I really didn't have weight to lose personally, but I have gained muscle, and I did end up losing 5 pounds just by doing the program along with my people, which mainly meant incorporating the protein shakes in the morning. I didn't really change much else because my diet was already pretty clean. But adding the protein shakes caused me to increase muscle and to lose some fat, and I actually dropped 5 pounds that I wasn't expecting or looking to lose. So I do share that story lots. And I do use the stories of my participants, the weight that they've lost. Also, the pain that they've lost has been huge with people when they hear about others who, for instance, one client couldn't stand. Her feet hurt her, and within 45 to an hour, she would always have to sit and take breaks. And now she can stand all day without her feet bothering her. So when they hear stories like that, people whose knees are no longer in so much pain, who are sleeping better, those testimonies are very powerful.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's great because, I mean, the before and afters are definitely awesome and always really helpful to fill your groups, but those other different benefits those health side effects that people get from going through IN.FORM, those are great things to share as well. Just increased energy and things like that can really be beneficial to let people know what they can expect when they go through your group. So that's awesome. Monica,
and the self-esteem.
sorry.
No, just
Sorry,
one final comment. Just the self-esteem as well. I've had people comment that they regained self-esteem, and that is huge for them as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, the self-esteem is definitely a big part of that too. Great. Thanks so much, Diane. Monica, do you have anything you want to share on this?
Well, just real quick, even though I lost my weight before the IN.FORM program, I do share my story of how I lived my life previously, and then I indicate how, although this program wasn't around, it's the same principles that I used to where I am today to get there. So that is helpful, but I don't use any pictures, and I probably should from the classes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that can be really, really helpful. And if you have their permission to share them, I've seen other coaches post those types of things on Facebook, and even have made flyers with before and afters on them. So of course you want to make sure that the participants are on board with that, but it can be really powerful for people to actually see that transformation that's happened. So awesome. Well, good. Let's go ahead and hop to the next question. So let's talk about some tips to help that first class go smoothly. So once you've got those participants there, how have you been able to make that first class just run as smooth as it can? Annette, let's start with you.
Well, be prepared. We're a scouting family, so we are prepared. You know, we reviewed the handouts, reviewed the webinars. We tried to really anticipate their questions because, you know, we have been through this program about 3 or 4 times ourselves. We reviewed decor. Prior to our first class, you know, we sent out some information to the participants who signed up, you know, the importance of hydration, you know, encouraging them about water. For those who hadn't gotten their books yet, we gave them the PowerPoint slide of week 1 or chapter 1 so that they could be prepared for our first class. And we just constantly maintained a positive, encouraging spirit, you know, sending out texts or emails to get them excited and acknowledging that they were taking the first step to the new you. So that was kind of like a big tagline that we were encouraging them because they were giving themselves the gift of, you know, health for themselves and their family.
I love that. I mean, encouragement and keeping that positive attitude can go a long way for sure. And just being prepared, those are some great tips. Thanks, Annette. Monica, do you have some things you want to share with us on how to just make that first class go smooth?
I think the most difficult part of the first class is the weigh-ins, and having enough people to help out and having the station set up so it flows smoothly. And I learned this through trial and error, and I would recommend for anyone's first class, have the station set up so they cannot pass go until the registration is done. Then they can't go for their measurements until the scale is done. Because what ends up happening is if they can squeeze through to go find a seat or what have you, and then it just gets all messed up. And then you don't know who's been measured, who hasn't, and people start talking and they get distracted and they forget to get on the scale or they forget to do the measurements. So organizing that in a good fashion and making sure you have 1 to 2 people at each station previously trained on how to do it, I think is very, very helpful. Other than that, I mean, just the excitement and the energy of the speakers will probably carry it and get it to go smoothly, and make sure that you know your material, of course.
Absolutely. I think you're spot on. That that first week when they go through the stations and get measured and get weighed, that can definitely be a little hectic. So having a plan and getting some people trained that can help you, that's a great idea. Awesome. Diane, do you have some ideas that you want to share?
Well, ditto on what Annette and Monica said. The only thing I might add is to watch the modules that are available online on our IN.FORM coaches page ahead of time. That will give you some ideas to be prepared. I did that before my first one, and I was really grateful for the things that I saw. Also, what Monica was just saying, I did have somebody doing the weighing and somebody with the measurements, I had them come early and get trained so they were able to watch and help with those 2 stations. And then I had a shaker guard. So I had somebody who was responsible for the shakes, and she stood guard. So when people brought their measurements and their weight, their BioTracker information up to the person at the shakes, she was the guard who handed them their shakes once she saw that their forms were filled out. So I did have those helpers, and I don't know how I would have done my first class without that. So that's how I handled it.
Yeah, that's great. I think having other people to help and support is key, because if you try to do everything all by yourself, it really can be overwhelming, especially if you have a very large group. I mean, if you've got more than 5 people and you're trying to do it yourself, it can really be a challenge. All right. So one question that somebody just asked is, do you guys do the measurements every week? Do you do the tape measure every week, or do you do it every other or every 4th week? Do you have any thoughts there?
I am doing it currently. This is Diane. I'm doing it like every 2 or 3 weeks, and it's working out a little bit better. It can take a bit of time, and those measurements don't always change each week, even though there's a pound or 2 or 3 lost in a week. The measurement doesn't always change as much. So I find that doing it every 2 or 3 weeks is working out better for me, and giving us a little bit more time for the class.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Monica, Annette, do either of you want to chime in on that?
When we took the class, this is Annette, we were taking measurements every week. And then as we went through, we realized, Mark and I, that since we have such a huge group, that we were probably going to do it like every 4 weeks, probably do 4 measurements, or 3 measurements throughout the course, the beginning, the middle, and just before the last week, so we could have at least 3 numbers rolling around that we can compare the inches.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Monica, what do you do for your group?
Same thing as Diane. On the first round, actually, I did everything every week, and that was very overwhelming. And then I realized that doing the tape measurements once a month, every 4 weeks, but I did allow them to step on the scale every week, and that worked out really, really well.
Okay, awesome. Great. So there's some ideas for you. And you can really do things however you'd like. If you'd like to measure every week, you're welcome to do that. But if you want to spread it out, that can definitely help things go a little more quickly every week. All right, so let's move on to our next question. All right, so this next one, I want you guys to talk a little bit about your process when you get new members signed up and get them on their program, because I think that's an area that sometimes people aren't quite sure how to address that, if you do the sign up during the group, or if you do it after the fact, or if they go online when they get home and do it themselves. Diane, do you want to share a little bit about your process of how you do that?
Absolutely. I want to make sure that they get signed up properly. It's not happened often, but there have been a few occasions over my years with NSP where people get onto the wrong website by doing a search in their browser for Nature Sunshine. So I always want to make sure that they also get the benefits of a Smart Start sign up. I want to make sure that they're aware that they're going to get that 15 Sunshine Reward dollars if it's a Smart Start sign up, that they're going to get their 20% bonus. So I really put that into my explanation. I explain that to them, and I incorporate that as part of what I tell everybody, that I want to make sure that your first sign up goes well and ensures you of the best pricing and of the highest benefits. I want to tell them about the loyalty rewards and about free shipping, and so many people are amazed when they hear that. So I actually walk them through that first sign up, and even though it's time consuming, I will take the time to do that, or I'll have somebody else in my group who knows how kind of help me with that. But I will have, if I've got, like this week, I'm expecting about 6 new people Thursday. So what I will do is take probably 2 of them after their meeting and help them and sign them up right there. And then I will probably by phone do it while they're on their computer. They'll call me. I do this a lot. It's time consuming, but that way I can walk them through how to place their next order, how to make changes on their loyalty reward orders. And, you know, in this past year, I've grown my group quite let's see, like maybe 4 times what it was in just a few months with IN.FORM. And so it's really ensuring me that they are going to know how to do it properly. So I will take the time with as many as I can. I will ask everybody at the end of the meeting who's in a hurry, who needs to leave first. I'll take those people right away. If others are willing to wait, I'll let them wait. And if not, then like I said, I'll set up a time with them and do a special appointment with them on the phone the next day. On the rare occasion, I'll have some people who just are super confident, and then I just give them the instructions and let them go on and do their sign up for themselves. But the other thing to make sure that they're getting signed up and that they know how to continue is those assessments. If I have them fill out the assessment that first night, they're looking and seeing what body system is needing the most support. So I'm incorporating that along with the protein powders and the cleanse perhaps, so that it helps them to fill out that $100 Smart Start. And I really emphasize the benefits of the Smart Start signups because they're going to get all that, all the bonuses of either free shipping or the 15 loyalty rewards, and then building up to 25% rewards monthly. So that's kind of how I do it.
Okay, great. No, I think that those are some great tips on how to get those members signed up, because it's good to make sure that that process goes well the first time, and you have some good advice to share. So, Monica or Annette, do you have anything additional that you want to add, or something that you might do differently, or some other tips?
This is Monica. I do mine very similar to Diane's, but a lot of times I'll actually meet with them one-on-one, but I very rarely ever let them call by themselves, just because it can be confusing and with the auto ship and the Smart Start. So I definitely meet with them, use the health assessment, and some of them I will do after the meeting, and the others I just set an appointment and they come to my home office, or I'll meet them up for coffee. Go over the health assessment and discuss what they need, what their budget is, why they need the things on the health assessment, and then place the call right then and there.
Okay, awesome. Well, good. I think those are some great ideas. Annette, is there anything you want to add?
I'm still a newbie and learning how to do this better. I have just learned more in the past 10 minutes than I probably learned the first year and a half.
Awesome. So it's a learning experience for all of us. This is great. Okay, great. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the next question. And we're getting a little bit low on time, but how do you keep participants excited and engaged each week? So if you guys want to share just a couple quick tips on how you do that. Annette, let's start with you.
We have the Traveling Bear Bling Award. So that's kind of shared for each person's successful week, and they get to have bragging rights for the week and show it off with their friends. And then we had a celebration week last week where we had like a table full of prizes, and we had a drawing. So every time someone's numbers went in the right direction, their name went in the hat. Every time they won the Bear Bling, their name went in the hat. So when they came to class, their name went in the hat. If they brought their food journal for review, their name went in the hat. So the first 14 weeks numbers got compiled, and we had the drawing for 2 big prizes, and you know, they were able to get something from the table. And like I said, every week we encourage everything. I mean, encouragement is like the key aspect of our mission statement, is to encourage. And you know, with that positive energy, as we said earlier, that's what keeps the people moving. And you know, for folks who had like small steps in the forward direction, or even had some steps in the backwards direction, we just encourage them to, you know, change a certain aspect so they can get the positive, you know, direction. We don't want people to get discouraged thinking they did everything and they ate right, but their numbers changed, but then they realize, oh, well, I wasn't exercising enough. So just trying to keep the positive energy going is kind of how we've been keeping people excited about engaging in each week's session.
Awesome. I think those are some great tips. Just keeping it fun and positive, and And I love that you have some different motivating things to help encourage them. So great. Monica, what do you do for your groups just to keep them excited and engaged and ready to come back each week?
Same type of thing, although we also do icebreakers, like to have the group get to know each other, because then they're getting together with their friends and their new friends, as opposed to no one knowing anything about anyone. So like one game we played was true, what was it called? I think it was true or not true. So they had to make 3 statements about themselves, just general things. I have a dog, I have my PhD, and I like to fly planes. And people in the group had to guess what was the false statement. So that was kind of fun. I think the energy of the speaker is key, because if the speaker goes in, or the educator, and they're tired and dragging along, then the people are going to be falling asleep. But if you are energized, then people around you can't help but be energized. So even if you're not feeling it, pump yourself up, whether it's through prayer or positive affirmations or whatever you need to do before you start that class, because that energy is contagious. And the other thing was definitely prizes, and we had a traveling bling ring that went around. For the guys, one of the guys didn't want the bling ring, so he brought in a big nut that looked like a man's ring, and so if it was a man, they got to take that out.
I love that. That is awesome. No, those are some great ideas, and I love the icebreakers. That is good. I mean, your group is already going to kind of bond together. They're going through the same experience, but having those kind of icebreaker things just kind of helps to speed that along a little bit. So great. Diane, do you have some things that you want to share of how you keep people excited?
Ditto again to everything that was said. That was all great. The only additional thing I might mention, I do handouts weekly, along with keeping the energy high and making sure that they're having fun through contests and things. I try to have them be able to go home with just some little piece of paper in their hand. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I think people still appreciate a little bit of information. So, for instance, this week I had printed out just a simple list of mucus-forming foods, and they loved the idea that there was something new that they could learn, and they really appreciate that. And it doesn't require me to go into some big teaching. It just says, hey, here's a little bit of information that I think might help you additionally. So when they go home, they can keep in mind those mucus-forming foods. I've printed lists of emotions that affect the different organs. I try to keep it new and interesting, and again, something that doesn't require me to go into a full teaching to take more time, but just one more thing they can learn, and they really appreciate that. I also have a closed Facebook group for just my participants. So it's only people who've been through my classes or my coaches that are certified in my success line. And they can go on there, and I will randomly just do contests where I will ask them to post sweaty pictures. That was my favorite. They loved it. I asked them to post pictures of them sweating. I was encouraging them to step up their steps. And I had the IN.FORM logo branded lunchbox. Shandy, you know I love that lunchbox. That's available on our e-store for the IN.FORM people. I offered the lunchbox to the person who sent me the most pictures and showed me that they were really out there exercising. And they love those types of little contests. I have also invited special guests. So I had a personal trainer come in one week. And this was just an extra class. We didn't do the usual. They were allowed to check in on the BioTracker if they wanted to, but we didn't have a usual class. She just taught a simple circuit that they could do at home. So just keeping those little extra things in front of them that make it interesting, special events, anything I can think of to try to keep it fun and exciting.
Awesome. I love that. I love all the ideas that you guys have been sharing. There's some really fun things that that we can all try in our IN.FORM groups. Okay, so just as we are wrapping up, so I just wanted to see, do you each have just like one last piece of advice that you'd like to share to have people just get excited about these January groups? Let's start with Monica.
Wow, there was so much information in there. It was incredible. Once again, I think I go back to your own excitement is contagious. So doing that and just talking to everybody you meet. there is something else that I started recently in a notebook. I write down the name and contact information of everybody I meet, whether it's in a store, or whether it's for my business or through a friend, and I just keep that running thing as a contact list. So to stay positive and go out with the intention of helping people, and the business comes.
Awesome. Love it. How about you, Annette? What's your last piece of advice you want to share today?
Stay positive and keep looking for those wanting and asking for help.
Awesome. Just keeping your eyes out. I mean, there are so many people around us that really need what we have to offer and can use our help. So just being aware of those around us. I love that. Diane, how about you?
Just like they were saying, have fun, really enjoy what you do. It's contagious, but also show that you genuinely care. And these people are attracted to you when they know that you really care about them. But the one final thing I might add is also don't be afraid of this being your business. It may be a service, it may be a ministry. As you know, for me, this is definitely my ministry, but it's also something we get paid to do, and I think that's a wonderful thing. So don't be afraid to share that opportunity as well with people. People want to know how they can help others, and they still have to support themselves. So I love that IN.FORM is giving me the opportunity to be passionate about serving people and doing ministry, but still have an income. So I am really grateful to NSP for IN.FORM.
Amen.
Awesome.
That's absolutely awesome, Diane.
Yeah, I love it. You guys are so inspirational, and I know that I've learned a lot myself. So, well, let's answer some questions. Let me just open my question window here and see if there's anything that we didn't already address. I tried to catch a lot of them as we went along, but let's just look here. Okay, we've got a little bit of noise there, but let's see. Okay, great. I'm looking back through and I'm seeing that you guys said you're getting some groups started in January. I love that. All right. Okay, so we've addressed a lot of these already. Okay, this is from Doreen. She is wondering where can she order the lunchbox that Diane talked about and the t-shirts. So these are things that you can purchase on the IN.FORM e-store. So if you actually go to naturesunshine.com/e-store, that's a direct link to it, or you can access it through the coach's webpage. But there are so many different things out there that you can purchase. There's great things for prizes. There's all kinds of different apparel and fun items like that. So you'll have to go and check that out. Most of these other questions I feel like we've already addressed as we've gone along. So if there's any others, feel free to type them in. And if we have a minute or two at the end, we'll go ahead and address those. But I wanted to go over a couple of announcements. So we have a new promotion starting this month, January. So if you get a group started with at least 5 participants, we've got this really great sample pack going for you. So there's the Nature's Harvest samples, the 11 peas, the Smart Meal samples, a bag of the 11 peas sugar-free, a box of Fixated. We're also going to send you 15 sample packs of the Anxious List samples. Plus, there's 2 other items that I didn't have pictures to add yet. We also are going to send you 10 of the NSP Power Shakers, and also 10 reusable IN.FORM shopping bags. So those will come along with your prize package, and we're really excited for this one this month because I think there's some really great things that you can use as prizes or as samples. So that's what we've got going on this month. What you'll need to do to submit your group is you'll have to submit your group start date and time, the names of each participant, or if they're members of Nature Sunshine, you can just enter their account number, plus a photo of your group. So you can submit that on our Coaches Resource page, which the link is right there on your page, naturesunshine.com/coach. One other thing that I'll just mention really quick is the IN.FORM challenge. As you're starting your January groups, make sure that you're remembering that you can submit them in the IN.FORM challenge. Basically, it's a nationwide competition, and those that have the best success stories can win up to $1,000 in cash. Plus, you as their coach can also receive up to $500 in cash just for being the coach of the winning participant. So make sure you check that out. Let's just look at the questions one last time.
I did have one thing I'd like to add, Shandy.
Yeah,
I totally forgot about this. In keeping up the motivation and the excitement, I talked about the speaker's got to have that, or the educator, but it also, you have to be engaging to the group. So I create mine more like a discussion. And so as I'm educating, and so say that it's on detoxing, I may say, okay, so does anyone know, tell me one way you think toxins can be absorbed in your body. And so that way it's group participation, they're staying awake because they're talking as well and you're not talking at them. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really important. I'm glad that you brought that up because that group discussion is so important. It's and really I think a lot of times when group members share, that's when even more of the listening and the learning happens. So you want to make sure that you give plenty of time to do that in every group so that people have that time to really bond together as participants and really to learn together. So thanks again, Monica, for sharing that. Okay, so I think we've got all the questions pretty much answered, and we're right at the end of time, so I'll go ahead and wrap it up. Just one thing to note, mark your calendar for next week's webinar. It will be on January 12th on Tuesday, so same time and same place. So make sure that you mark your calendar for that. And then I just want to thank our panelists today. Thank you, Diane and Annette and Monica. You guys shared some fantastic ideas that I think can really help us to have successful January groups. And I feel excited. I actually am getting a new group started here at home office next Wednesday, and so I've been making some notes of these tips as well. So thank you three for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time to be with us.
You're very welcome.
It's good to be here.
Awesome, and thank you to all of our attendees for taking the time out of your schedule to be with us as well. So we will see you all next Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you.